Guys, thanks so much for joining, and Cam, welcome aboard.
Was this the mothership?
Mothership.
That's right. Cam, well done.
We've connected. Connected.
Black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow.
Pete level.
Needed high slot. Horton, little room. His drive score! Nathan Horton wins Game 7 in overtime. Taking 1-on-2, trying to split the D. He does. He's to the net all alone. A backhand and he scores. Krejci looking. Feet toward tip. Score! Nathan Horton in front, and the Bruins have the lead. Sent back to center. Seinberg has it, and the Bruins win. The Bruins win. They're in the Stanley Cup Finals.
I kind of make fun of it, but the compete level's been there in this game so far, and he needs to maintain that.
12:23 here on the Sports Hub. DA with you through 6 a.m. You heard me right. I'm with you right through Toucher and Rich, so don't go anywhere, big boys and big girls. We're here celebrating with you throughout the night because we are your flagship home of the Bruins, 98.5 The Sports. So we're down here at Hurricane O'Reilly's tonight, broadcasting where the official watch party was going on for 98.5 The Sports Hub. Fans have spilled into the streets. We have seen images come back from Vancouver, and it looks pretty violent out there. Overturned cars, things on fire, riot police. Let us hope that Bruins fans act better than that out in the streets, just a couple of 100 yards from where we're broadcasting from right now. Phone lines are open, 617-779-0985. Text us as well, 69985. Follow us on Twitter, The DA Show. And remember to download any of our podcasts on iTunes and subscribe to our show completely for free there. Quick story from me and the rest of the mothership, our staff back in Mission Control. When we launched the Sports Hub, now 2 years ago, as the flagship home of the Bruins, we launched in August. And in August, it was obviously Patriots season. We were talking about the Red Sox and the Patriots and preseason. And at that time, I remember maybe it was my second show, maybe. And in the middle of Red Sox pennant stretch, in the middle of Patriots season about to kick off, I got a phone call, first show, second show, something like that, that was, "Hey, DA, appreciate you taking my call. What do you think about Tuukka Rask? Should he take over the starting goaltender position?" And I went, wow. We've got like 2 months, 3 months until training camp with the Bruins opens up. It's all Red Sox and Patriots right now, and we're talking backup goaltender of the Bruins. All right, Hockey Town, game on. And we began doing the post-game shows here on the flagship home of the Bees, 98.5 The Sports Hub, starting from October, a few exhibition games of last season. And every single night we had you guys, diehard Bruins fans, breaking down lines, breaking down save percentages, breaking down opposing matchups, what it's going to take, salary cap stuff, and it was very easy to identify that this town was starving, A, for a Stanley Cup, B, for some place to talk about it. And I can say, on behalf of all of us that work here on the Bruins postgame show and on the mothership that comes on following each and every Bruins game, it's been so impressive. It has been so inspiring to know we could flip on the microphones any given night, 365 days a year, and not only talk pucks, but talk pucks intelligently. And you guys have driven this thing. Took over the Sports Hub. When every show said, call us, what do you want to talk about? Bruins fans took over this radio station from the moment we launched 2 years ago. And I don't think there's any coincidence that we grew so fast and successfully as a radio station because of Bruins fans. So I could say, for everybody that has called me every night following December games against Columbus to talk about whether or not Andrew Farron should be taken off that defensive pairing, to talk about the little things, what it's going to take, trades, drafting, this guy, that guy, Claude, this line, power play. Congratulations, because this has been a starving sports town for hockey talk, and the hockey passion runs so deep. This thing is incredible. And that's why when it came up to us, well, what do we do following Game 7? If the Bruins win this thing, we can't go to bed. We can't flip this thing over. We can't go to Fox Sports Radio. We cannot go syndicated because Bruins fans have been with us from the day we launched. So on this night, we can't go to bed. We know you guys aren't going to bed. So let's start this bad boy off with what else? A DA show, legendary, iconic piece of audio. We've played this after every single win this year by Timmy Thomas. And how about a shutout in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals? And the Conn Smythe winner is the MVP of the NHL postseason. It is Timmy Time!
Last year, that's one of the things I couldn't really do is I couldn't fall on my butt and scramble.
Timmy Time!
Hey, Thomas, save, Thomas. Thomas.
Fall on my butt and scramble. The hip is feeling real good. Feeling real good. It's fun.
Hey, Thomas, save, Thomas. Thomas. Kicked out by Thomas.
Timmy
I
Time!
like it. Obviously, that must be a remix. That's not the official cartoon. I forgot that I'd said those things till I heard them in the song. Yeah, thank you. I hope I can make you play that song a lot more.
And Timmy let us play that song and made me play that song a whole hell of a lot more. We played that for him during the Christmas season. That was for the 12 DAs of Christmas. Timmy had such an incredible first half of the season. And it wasn't really the first half of the season. It was the first couple of months of the season. And so we created the Timmy Time song for him because there was the Tuca Time song last year. But with how incredible Timmy was, we had to create a little melody for him. We played it for him. And that was months ago. That was December. And he's gotten better at 37 years old. He got better over the course of the season. And he got better in the postseason. And you couldn't help but feel incredible for that guy knowing his journey. Knowing that journey that he took. What a terrific end for this season for him. And it was poetic justice. It really was. It was poetic justice. So for Timmy, who's been a stonewall all season, once they got one goal early, I mean, who really was going, you know what, Timmy's going to get beat tonight? Once it was 2-0, was there any chance he was going to give up 2 goals? Then, of course, he pitched the shutout when it mattered most. Of course he did that. By the way, are you looking for Bruins championship gear? Of course you are. Do you want to get it now? Of course you do. Well, cool. Their store's open. Dick's Sporting Goods is open until 2 a.m. tonight. Dick's Sporting Goods open until 2 a.m. They will reopen at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, so they're only closed for 3 hours tonight. If you want your gear now, you've got 90 minutes. Drive safely, but I know somebody is listening right now. There's a bunch of you that are like, oh, crap, really? Throwing on your jacket right now and getting out there. Dick's has your championship gear until 2 a.m. tonight, and then they'll reopen at 5 a.m. Dick's Sporting Goods has the official Bruins championship merchandise and will continue to be stocked throughout the day. All right? So there you go. We're going to blow it out tonight. We've got coverage for you right through 6 a.m. We'll relive the highlights. We'll relive some of the on-ice celebration. We'll have guests along the way. We're going to take your phone calls throughout the night because I got to hear from you guys. I got to hear how Bruins fan is feeling right now. DA with you throughout the night into the early morning hours till 6 a.m. celebrating a championship for the Bruins. Bill starts us off in Lowell tonight here at 98.5 The Sports. What's up, Billy?
What's going on, DA?
Congrats, bro. What's going on?
Oh, man, I just finished crying like a baby. I am so excited. I'm so happy for all the guys that have just won this championship. I'm so excited for the fans of Boston and everyone around us. I mean, you got 2001, you got the Patriots, you got 2004, Red Sox, you got 2008, you got the Celtics, and now you got 2011, and you got the Boston Bruins. How good does it feel, DA, my man?
It is a Boston Grand Slam, if you will. Since 2004, every professional sports team of the 4 majors have won a championship. Grand Slam since 04. A Boston sports Grand Slam in the last 7 freaking years. Totally unheard of. I mean, obviously it was unheard of even before tonight's championship, but to get him in all 4, man. Talk about this a lot because we've got a lot of young listeners here on the DA show. Appreciate you all, everybody, from the ages of 2 to 6 to 10 to 12. Felger dismisses you and sends them our way. Don't worry, we love you. Living through this, kids, remember what I'm talking about right now. Living through the last 7 years is unlike anything anybody else has ever experienced. There's no other sports city that has had 4 championships in 7 years. How do you have to look that up? I don't have to look that up. I know it's never happened. A championship in all sports in the last 7 years, 2 in baseball, going back to 01, 3 in football, a basketball and a hockey championship. If you're under the age of 20, just sit down tonight, let it soak in. If you're under the age of 15, no, it won't always be like this. And I got to tell you, over here at Hurricane O'Reilly's, we had a crazy throng of Bruins fans. There were some wet eyes around here. There were some wet eyes midway through that third period. Jack's on 93 tonight. I'm on. What's up, Jack?
Yo, I'm just coming on the way back from Boston, and I just want to say...
Appreciate the phone call, Jack. You drive safe. Hopefully you're not the one driving. Xavier's in Gloucester tonight. What's up, Xavier?
Dude, DA, I first called you 2 years ago. I was driving down to the Nassau Coliseum, and you gave me a great restaurant to go to. I feel like I've called 100 times since then. Dude, I can't believe it. This is, I've seen it all I'm 30 years old. I've seen it all in my life. And you guys, 98.5 The Sports Hub, you guys deserve a ring because Boston was a hockey town before you guys, but us Bruins fans, we never had an outlet before you guys. You guys helped this along. You're just as big a part of it as us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go Bruins.
Xavier, you're the man. What it was like was, hey, as a new sports radio station, if you want to call and discuss, chat, whatever, we'll go. I mean, I do this solo every night, not until 6 a.m. Management, don't get any ideas. But for 5 hours, I'm rolling solo. So whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm there. It's you and I. Let's chatter. Let's converse. Let's Q&A. What you got? And it was obvious right from the get-go. People want to talk Bruins. People want to talk pucks. Let's talk hockey. And so a trickle became a faucet, became a waterfall, became Niagara Falls. So big ups, big props to Bruins fans because you guys have carried many a DA show. I'll tell you that much right now. I didn't have to do much. Oh, trade deadline? Okay, 5 hours. Cabriolet. Oh, draft time? 5 hours. Sagan. Oh, okay, playoffs are coming up. 5 hours. Take it away. It's been awesome. It has been awesome. Congrats to every Bruins fan out there that's been waiting for this bad boy. 617-779-0985. Text us as well, 69985. Where else would you go? Keep it locked right here, your flagship home of the Bruins. DA with you right through 6 a.m. As we go over it all, you'll hear from all of the guys down on the ice. All of the celebration. We'll relive some of the great moments of tonight. And when we come back, let's hear some Timmy Time saves because Timmy pitches a shutout on his way to his first Stanley Cup. We'll hear some of the great moments of Tim Thomas coming up next here on the DA Show on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Now save Thomas on Ryan Kessler.
Horton is out.
Front score! One score! Put it on, then he scores! Big shot score! Ricky in front score! Big shot score! 8-1 blowout win in Game 3. Beverly, wrist shot, and he scores! Wrist shot scores! Backhand, and he scores! On the doorstep! Beverly on the doorstep! With the Stanley Cup Finals all tied up. Marchand, a wrist shot, scores! Wrist shot, and he scores! And Roberto Luongo is out. A long drive, and he scores from the left point! Shot, and it's kicked out by the left hand of Thomas. And for the first time in their history, they'll play a Game 7 of the Finals.
Push to start.
Backhander, St. Thomas, and he reaches. He's in front, score! Loose puck, score! And the Bruins are
Guys, thanks so much for joining. And Cam, welcome aboard.
Was this the mothership?
That's right. Cam, well done.
We've connected. Connected.
Black, yellow, black, black, yellow, black, yellow, black, black, yellow.
Pete level. Needed high slot. Horton, little room. His strike score! Nathan Horton wins Game 7 in overtime. Taking 1-on-2, trying to split the D. He does. He's to the net all alone. A backhand and he scores. Crazy looking. Pete Horton tip scores. Nathan Horton in front, and the Bruins have the lead. Sent back to center. Seinberg has it, and the Bruins win. The Bruins win. They're in the Stanley Cup Finals.
I like to try to make fun of it, but the compete level's been there in this game so far, and he needs to maintain that.
104 here on the Sports Hub. DA with you through 6 a.m. tonight. Where you at? Where my duck boat's at? Here we go. 617-779-0985. Text us as well, 69985. Broadcasting live from Hurricane O'Reilly's following the championship by the Bruins tonight, their first since 1972. So many heroes, so little time, and we'll get to plenty of guests throughout tonight's evening process and evening show and really into the morning. We'll take you right into the morning hours with Toucher and Rich at 6 a.m. I got to hear from you guys, though, at 617-779-0985. Alex is in Hanover tonight. What's up, Alex? Alex, you there, buddy? Alex.
Yes, I'm here.
You're on the air, bud. What's up?
Good. I just got back from town. This place was wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah, it was. It was wild. Appreciate the phone call, Alex. Good job by you. Derek's in New Hampshire. What's up, Derek?
Yeah, buddy.
How you doing?
I've been calling you all year, talking about these bees, talking about Luch, talking about all these things, man. And I really, honestly can't believe I just witnessed what I saw. It is the most beautiful thing I've seen in this sports town in a very, very long time. I just wanted to call you up and say, hey, props. We're giving the props to the bees. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I have tomorrow off because my hangover tomorrow is going to be the balls. Good luck to you, DA, and everything else that goes on. Congrats, bees.
Thanks, Derek. Good job by you. I've got to imagine tomorrow is not going to be the most productive day in the city of Boston and Greater New England. Got to imagine not a lot of work getting done tomorrow between 9 and 5. Joining us on the AT&T Expert Hotline is a guy that's joined us throughout the NHL season and this one as well since we began broadcasting the Bees 2 years ago, and that is Jimmy Murphy from ESPN.com. What's up, Murph?
What's up, DA? Is probably not going to be me like your guest, your caller there. It's going to be a rough morning tomorrow, a rough day, a lot of travel, but it's well worth it.
Talk to us right now.
It's a pretty cool scene here in Vancouver. Well, not outside the building from what I heard. There's a lot of riots, and one person is already dead, so, hopefully everybody's safe out there. But in here, there's still some Bruins fans lingering around. They can't get them out, and it's a great scene, DA.
Murph, I got to tell you, tonight it just seemed like the Bruins flat out wanted it more, and it sounds so trite and so cliche, and it sounds like dime store analysis, but my goodness, over 60 minutes, the Bruins really fought and clawed and brought the energy, and it seemed like the Canucks turtled in that pressure. What did it look like to you tonight?
Same thing. I mean, obviously Tim Thomas was brilliant as he has been, in a well-deserved Conn Smythe Trophy there, and I think he would have gotten that should they have lost. But, they had the complete game going. I thought in the first 10 minutes, I felt like they look a little nervous out there. They're a little tense, and they looked a lot like they did for many of the intervals of, games 1, 2, and 5 here. But that shift by the fourth line, I don't think they're getting enough credit. I've been talking to people, and everybody's obviously talking about Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand and the games they had. But they don't get that first goal in my eyes if that fourth line doesn't have that long shift there where they pretty much tired down the Canucks defense, and they generate some scoring chances. They got the puck out of their zone, and it seemed to me like that's what they're there for. They're the energy line, and I thought that the team got energy as a whole off that. And then, of course, 2 shifts later, Bergeron puts it in, and they went from there. And I thought they took over the game from there. And I just think that, the Bruins, Leaf said, obviously wanted it more. But at the same time, it looked like the Bruins finally realized, we're the better team in this series. I mean, we've completely outplayed them. We've outscored them. And if not for some dumb mistakes on our part, and if we had any sort of a power play throughout the series, then we would have won this already. So I thought that they did a great job of just realizing that it was their game to win.
You talked to me about when you felt this team had the pieces to win a Stanley Cup. Was it regular season? Was it sometime in the postseason? When did you look at the Bruins in 2011 and go, you know what? They've got the pieces to actually put this thing together and get a cup.
You know what? I think the moment for me, and I mean, hey, I'm always gonna be knocked for picking them to lose against the Habs, and I gladly ate those words. But I think the moment for me was that series. I think it was they beat a team that obviously is their rival, but obviously was a team that I saw more than any other could get under the skin of the Bruins and really just get them off their game plan, really rattle them, and just totally distract them from what they wanted to do. And they did that in those first two games. But the way they came back and they tied that series and then came back and took the 3-2 lead and then won a Game 7 that, let's face it, is a bounce or two away from going the Canadiens' way. I just thought once they showed that resilience there, I felt like they were on their way. And I said, you know what, this team could do it. I mean, they really could. And they come out, they sweep the Flyers, and then they win a really tough series against Tampa Bay and obviously this series against Vancouver. And you got to give it to him, and you got to give it to Claude Julien as well. I mean, I know all of us have all been critical of him, but he did a great job of adapting and changing on the fly.
You tell us, how difficult is it for a team to go on the road and win a Game 7? I mean, tonight the Bruins barely broke a sweat, it felt like, although as you said in the first period, obviously there were some lulls in the action, but when you look at this thing all told, it didn't ever look like the Bruins were not going to be mentally ready and sharp enough to win this thing. But historically speaking, this almost never happens. How difficult is it, historically speaking, to do what the Bruins did tonight?
It's very difficult historically speaking, but I think more in recent times, and I think back to 2009 when the Pittsburgh Penguins were in the exact same situation. And look, the Bruins don't have a Malkin or a Crosby, but they were in the exact same situation as the Pittsburgh Penguins heading into Game 6 in their own barn. They tied the series. They came in. They played almost an identical defensive game, taking it to them with the forecheck that the Bruins played tonight, and they won the Stanley Cup on Joe Louis Arena ice. And I thought that was, the model that the Bruins had to follow heading into this game, and that's exactly what they did. And I think it was a matter of the Bruins. I mean, let's face it, the Bruins were never a great home team, DA, throughout the season. They were better on the road, and they always loved playing on the road. They loved getting away from distractions. They felt that they could play their structured game and lull the other team to sleep and lull the fans to sleep. And like we both said, they didn't do that in the first 10 minutes, but once they got it going, I mean, they shut this place down. I mean, this crowd was rocking for the first 10 minutes of this game. And then they just turned the crowd against them, and when they got that third goal, they started to go again for Longo, and that was it.
Jimmy Murphy, ESPN.com local edition, joining us tonight here on the DA Show from Vancouver. You give us a sense of what the Nathan Horton storyline meant to this team. He makes the trip out there. They put his equipment in the locker yesterday for practice. He's the one that's bringing the water from Boston to pour on the ice, and then he's actually, all dressed. He couldn't play tonight, but he was dressed, ready to go, acting as though he could. What was that emotional lift like for this club?
I think it was huge, and you know what? A credit to Claude Julien, a credit to the veterans of his team to kind of embracing that emotional lift that the team could get and thinking of things like that. And, I talked to Horton afterwards, and he told me that it was actually the idea of the ice guys back in Boston, the Bull Gang, came up with the idea and went to him and said, look, if you go to Vancouver, here's a bottle of water. I don't know how you're going to get it through security, but get it through and get it on that ice. You know that the Canadians, Team Canada, in the Olympics has the famous story of how they put the loonie under there. Well, this was the Bruins loonie, and they wanted to make sure they got it through. He would not tell us how he got it through airport security, but he did it, and he said, all that matters is that I'm sitting here and I'm a Stanley Cup champion. And, I thought the team did a great job of sort of feeding off that injury and said, look, if you're going to take one of our guys out like that, we're going to make you pay. And they did, and they didn't just make him pay in terms of a physical sense. They made him pay in terms of beating him in the series.
Tim Thomas tonight was nothing short of spectacular yet again. He's the Conn Smythe winner, obviously. So to do what he did at 37 years old after what we didn't know was going to be out of Tim Thomas this year, following last season, following the hip injury, what about his story and, you know, what about his singular focus that he showed in this postseason, kind of elevating his play to even a different level, even than what we saw in the regular season?
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's the stuff that, you know, books or movies are made of, and you got to give him so much credit with what he bounced back from with that hip surgery, and there's all the trade rumors surrounding him, and just the focus he had. I mean, look, he had such an amazing regular season. You were like, well, he can't really go up. He can only go down, and you're a little worried. And then you see the first 2 games against Montreal, and you're like, well, there you go. But the way he bounced back again, and the way he just tore it up in the playoffs, he was just in such a zone. I mean, the last bully I remember being in that type of zone and really carrying his team would be Patrick Waugh in '93. You know, I'm not saying I think the Bruins have a better team on paper and on the ice than that '93 Habs team, but Patrick Waugh carried that team. He just got in one of his zones, and we saw Waugh do it so many times with the Habs and with the Avalanche. But Thomas was just you couldn't get by him. I mean, it was unbelievable how calm he looked, despite how chaotic his style is. But he just looked so calm and so confident. And he said it the other day. He goes back to that series against Montreal in 08 when they lost in 7 games. And he said, this is what I'm going to need to play in the clutch, pressure cooker type games. I'm going to need to get to the point I'm at right now. And that's where he reached.
Jimmy Murphy, Bruins Insider, joined us throughout the season this year. He's in Vancouver. Follow his coverage via Twitter, Murphy's Law 74, online as well, ESPN.com, local edition. Murph, man, thanks so much for all of the work over the course of the season. Obviously, our work with you is not done. Travel safe, enjoy the night, man, and we'll talk to you soon, okay, bud?
All right, man, I'm bunkered up in the press box here with a case of Molson Canadian, and we're riding away.
Well done,
Have a
Murph.
good
We'll
one.
talk to you soon, man. Be good. Jimmy Murphy joining us, Bruins Insider, here on the DA Show.
Black, yellow, black, black, yellow, black, yellow, black, black, yellow.
Pete level. Marchand looking, curls out to the right circle, spins back in deep, feeds it in front, score! Patrice Bergeron on the slot, set up by Marchand. Marchand trying to settle it, takes it around the net, wrap around 10, close puck, score! Bergeron to the net, booked down by Earhart, score! It rolled in! Get the duck boats ready! After 39 long years, the cup is back home! The Bruins are 2011 Stanley Cup champions!
Kind of make fun of it, but that compete level's been there in this game so far, and he needs to maintain that.
3:02 in the AM. Glad you're with us. Happy duck boats to everybody. DA with you right through 6 a.m. We'll hand things over to Toucher and Rich. It's Mothership Marathon. The Bruins have won the Stanley Cup for the first time since 1972. Celebratory night around here. Unfortunately, out in Vancouver, it got ugly following the loss. CBC News is reporting that there's been 57 people injured outside in the aftermath of the loss, although most of those from tear gas exposure. 2 major traumas, 3 stabbings, and 1 head injury. At least that's being reported right now. Obviously, things will get sorted out as the morning moves on. But joining us from the Team 1040 in Vancouver on the AT&T Expert Hotline is Blake Price, who has joined us throughout this series. Blake, how are you?
Well, I've been better. I've been a lot better, actually. The hockey game, we can talk about the hockey game in a bit here, but it was a night that has won the city. I just got home, a 90-minute commute, and watched the city up in flames. It was an embarrassing night.
Hey, Blake, hang on. Let me get you to a better cell phone area, so we'll have our producers hop on there and get you to where it's a little bit of a clearer signal. Yeah, the images coming from Vancouver are not happy images. And you hate to see any city turn over cars, burn them like that, tear gas, and one just hopes that in Boston, when the dust clears tonight, it won't be all that bad. From what I saw down on Causeway, and we were broadcasting earlier in the night from Causeway and Hurricane O'Reilly's, ton of people, a lot of 20-somethings enjoying the night, having a few pops. Look, there was a lot of alcohol imbibed tonight at Hurricane O'Reilly's, other places out in the street. They all went, but for the most part, a little bit of revelry, a lot of high-fiving, but the police department did a pretty good job dispensing that and dispersing the crowd as the night wore on. But we've got Blake back right now. And Blake, as you were saying, 90-minute commute home, hon. It was pretty ugly out there?
It was ugly. It was, vehicles on fire. City's in shambles, really. This is the most embarrassing night in Vancouver history, I have to say. It has nothing to do with the hockey game. I mean, these people came down armed with this stuff. I mean, vehicles don't just explode into flames on their own. You can't just throw a match onto an overturned car and have it go on fire. People came down there. The theory's out there that win or lose, this was going to happen because the people that did this wanted it to happen. The problem is that while it might have been orchestrated by a select few, more than a select few ended up jumping onto the bandwagon, and it was not a select few that took part in the grand escapades out there. It was a disturbing amount of people. Now, we should make it clear that there was, around 125,000 people that descended upon the Vancouver core. They were in the streets. There was gatherings as big as 10 to 15,000 in certain locations in and of themselves. So, this still only takes that lunatic fringe. It still only takes that 2 to 5% to make a dent, because we're talking about 2 to 5,000 people making up the 2 to 5% of the people that were in the streets. I mean, that's how clogged the streets were with human beings today in downtown Vancouver, and ultimately they caused a lot of damage.
I know in 1994, after the loss of the Rangers, things weren't all that pretty over there either. Was there the expectation that, look, this is going to happen and we just can't stop it because we don't have enough police force, or was it an undermanned police force not expecting this much destruction?
Well, two things. 1994 was a good learning tool, and when we had the Olympics here, everything went swimmingly. I mean, it was unbelievable how few incidents there were during the Olympics. It was unbelievable. Now, granted, there's a real select international police force that was looking for terrorists and all that sort of thing. So I mean, maybe people just felt like they were being too watched during the Olympics, but it gave the people in Vancouver the thought, well, hey, maybe we can gather in large numbers here without anything bad going on. And we did have the history of 1994 to tell us that we're not going to do that to our own city again. But clearly there was enough of a presence there from people to think that they could get away with this again. Now, the police did a marvelous job. They knew that there was a risk of something like this going on, so they have absolutely enough police, you'd think. But when you're talking about these large numbers, I just don't know. Like, literally every single Vancouver Police Department police officer was on call or was working tonight. So I don't know if you can ask for much more than that. Ultimately, they're just overpowered by the sheer volume of people. There's just too many people, and they were overcome by it all. But they were patient at first. The police force in 1994 was heavily criticized for its use of force and for how it used force. So the police this time around had to be very cautious so that the civil liberties people didn't come down on them. But ultimately, maybe they gave them too much rope. Maybe they let it get too out of control because they were too afraid of the criticism that haunted them last time around. But in the end, honestly, I better not hear one person talk about any civil liberties being infringed upon, because the police should be whacking away with those batons as hard as they can.
Blake Price, Team 1040 in Vancouver, joined us tonight here on the show. Let's talk about the hockey game first and foremost after the crowd, and what's a Vancouver Canucks perspective on what happened tonight?
What happened on the ice or outside of the arena?
On the ice.
On the ice, you know what? The Stars took responsibility for what they didn't do, and that was Roberto Luongo not stopping pucks, and that was the Sedins not scoring goals. I mean, the Stars came out today and just said, you know what? We weren't good enough, and had they been even halfway there, I mean, the Sedins, let's face it, the Sedins got points in 2 of 7 games. I mean, we're talking about the Art Ross Trophy winners of the last 2 years getting points in 2 of 7 games. I mean, it's just that doesn't happen. So, if they're even a little bit better than that, the Canucks win this series. I mean, it doesn't take much more to be a little bit better than that. 2 out of 7 games, my goodness. Roberto Luongo, I mean, he was tolerable here on home ice. I mean, he lets in ultimately just 3 goals here tonight. He had a .67 goals against average at home in this series going into game number 7. So on home ice, I think you can say he was good enough, but my goodness, in Boston, he certainly wasn't. So if the best players in the Vancouver Canucks are even just a little bit better, they probably win the series, but they were pretty darn bad for most of these games.
How do Vancouver Canucks fans feel about the Sedins and feel about Roberto Luongo? Will those guys always have bullseyes on their chest after what they did not deliver in this series?
Sedins have probably got a bit of a stay of execution. They've back-to-back Art Ross Trophy winners. They've got a Hart Trophy to their credit. And Roberto Luongo, he's going to face a lot of criticism, which, I have mixed feelings about. His unpredictability is difficult to follow, for sure. I think a lot of fans are finding that just too much to bear, his unpredictability, but he still got them within 60 minutes of winning the Stanley Cup, so it's hard to come down too hard on the guy. I mean, how many goaltenders get that close? Not many. So, I think it's going to be with mixed emotion. I think what people will struggle the most with regards to Roberto Luongo is the contract still. I mean, it's still 11 years left on his contract that pays him a lot of money, and people are going to have a hard time thinking that they should be trading away, the Boston boy here, the Massachusetts boy, Corey Schneider, who, is younger, and you might be able to ride for a lot more years than Roberto Luongo. So I think Luongo is going to face a lot of questions. Alain Vigneault will face a lot of questions as the head coach. I can't imagine what those questions would be. I think Alain Vigneault, again, it's hard to draw too many harsh criticisms against a team that got to within one win of the Stanley Cup final.
Do you guys feel like that team wasn't mentally tough enough or physically tough enough to win the Stanley Cup?
Physically, I don't think so. Mentally, the argument could be made. I mean, physically, the Canucks out-hit the Bruins a lot of nights in this series, so I don't think that's necessarily the case. Certainly, they were better, too. I mean, they won the games in which they dominated physically, except for tonight. They out-hit the Bruins, I believe, again tonight by a pretty wide margin, if I can remember, but still didn't come away with the victory. Mentally tough enough, I think that could definitely be called into question. I think you have to question how a team gets blown out 8-1 in Game 3, and then gets blown out again in Game 4, and then goes back to Boston and gets blown out again in Game 6. It doesn't speak to a team that has the leadership necessarily to take it to that next level. And I think that the Sedins are capable leaders. Ryan Kessler is a capable leader, but is the mix there to be heart and soul kind of leaders? They're great complementary pieces, maybe, but maybe they're not the guys to be the center of a leadership group.
Blake Price, Team 1040, joining us tonight here on the show from Vancouver. Blake, we appreciate the time tonight. We appreciate the time that you've given us over the course of this series, man, and we'll check in with you next hockey season.
Thank you, Tina.
You got it. Blake Price joining us tonight on the AT&T Expert Hotline.